Welcome to another episode of Field Engineering, one of my favorite segments that we do. So helpful. And that's because we have with me Phil Kimball, the wise one here at Jackson Systems. Phil, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. It's allergy season for me. So
yeah, it is. Ragweed, pollen, all kinds of stuff.
All of it. Work. Yeah, I'm very allergic. So today, Phil, we're actually talking about a product and some specific applications that is very important for any contractor, whether you're doing residential or light commercial, specifically in the light commercial realm. We're talking about our Z2000T thermostat. This is a modulating, proprietary thermostat. You want to explain that to the folks?
Well, proprietary meaning that it's just not your common on-the-wall thermostat. It is not designed to control a piece of heating, air conditioning equipment. Only if the thermostat is used in conjunction with a Jackson Systems zoning panel.
The VVT, the Z2000.
Right, the Z2000 typical would be the application use, and that's a light commercial zoning panel.
Right.
What this does, this thermostat, even though it's capable of sending a heating or a cooling signal to a zone panel, it doesn't control the equipment. It controls a damper.
Oh, that's why
this is really cool how this works.
Yeah, okay.
We actually wrote the specifications for this. We designed this thermostat, and that's why we call it proprietary, because it only works with our system. It's a unique product because it knows how to control this damper that would be in a duct, providing conditioned air into the zone space where the thermostat is located. And it knows whether there's warm air in that duct or whether there's cold air in that duct.
Now, how does it know that?
Well, this is really neat. When you buy what we call a ZD damper, which is a standalone zoning damper, you would use the same dampers if you had a full-blown zone control system.
Okay.
But you can use this as a standalone. This comes with a little duct sensor.
Okay.
And our production guys, they actually mount this sensor inside the damper shell.
Okay.
So this is sensing the air temperature inside the duct.
Right.
And the thermostat itself is what we call single set point. It's got one set point, not a cooling set point, not a heating set point, one set point. And so you decide what your comfort is. I want to set the thermostat, let's say, to 72 degrees. That's my comfort range.
Right.
What it does is it splits that 72 degrees by plus 1.5 degrees above or below that set point.
Okay.
Okay?
Alrighty.
Now, we use a benchmark of about 72 degrees with regards to determining whether the air in the duct is heated air or cooled air. So 72, if you got warm air in the duct, you're running a furnace way above 72 degrees.
Right.
If you got cold air in the duct running the AC, you're way below 72 degrees, 55 typically.
Right.
So that's kind of the benchmark, and this thing is looking at that temperature in the duct. Now let's say we're running air conditioning.
Okay. Which is typical in an office. I mean, you're mostly running cooling, depending parts of the country, obviously.
So running AC, the temperature in the duct is 55 degrees, and this thermostat calls for cooling. Providing that it sees that the temperature is below 72, it will now treat this damper as a cooling damper. And it will modulate the damper open, and then the closer the zone temperature gets to set point, the more it throttles the damper to the closed or minimum position. And it actually knows what position this damper is in.
Really?
And I'm going to show you how it knows this.
I was going to say, does this damper, I mean, when it opens for cooling, does it track any of the CFM or air velocity? It just depends on the temperature?
Super simple. First of all, temperature determines the mode of operation with regards to what this thermostat is going to work in.
Okay.
And damper position is all dependent upon the speed of the actuator. Now, we use 90-second motors. We like 90-second motors.
Yeah.
So if you notice this damper here, it will go, when we say 90 seconds, what we mean is that from the time we start to open the damper to the time it is completely closed, or vice versa, it takes 90 seconds.
Okay.
So what we tell the thermostat in an installer menu is, we go into this installer menu,
Okay.
and actually the default is 90, but we tell the thermostat this is a 90-second motor. And the thermostat, you know, it's almost human. It says, "Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. 90-second motor. Now I know how long it takes to open that damper completely wide open or close it. It
Right.
takes 90 seconds. So based on that, and when you first start up the system, what the thermostat will do, it's going to drive the damper open past 90 seconds, because we programmed it to say this is a 90-second damper.
Right.
And it holds it there past 90 seconds. And then it takes control. In other words, absolutely 100% sure this is wide open now.
Okay.
You know, might have been 92 seconds or something. So it opens it up long enough to know that it's past 90 seconds. Then it takes control. So as we determine whether to use the air in the duct for heating or cooling based on what temperature is,
Okay.
now the thermostat can simply take control of the damper. And it says, oh, I need cooling, there's cold air in the duct. Open it up. As we get closer to the set point, the damper begins to modulate, close, or to an adjustable minimum position.
And you adjust the position through the thermostat?
Yeah, everything is done. Plus, not only that, another cool thing is you can monitor things. You can go to the thermostat and there's a little status key. And it's kind of neat. You can tell what zone thermostat this is. If you want to put in a unit number, you can also put in a zone number. So
Okay.
let's say you had a Z20 system, you got 20 zones.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to know what thermostat is controlling what damper.
Right.
And what most contractors will do, they'll write on the damper, zone 1. Well, here we can go in and we can actually tell the thermostat,
kidding.
you are zone 1 thermostat. You're controlling zone 1 damper.
Mm-hmm.
And as we go through status, though, we can look and see what the duct temperature is, right in duct. Don't have to go up with a probe or anything. It
That's
tells
handy.
me, because it's communicating that information on a
Right.
screen. And then I can hit status again, and it tells me what position the damper is in.
That says 63%.
Right now it says I'm at 63%. In other words, it's trying to modulate this damper. It's not even wired up, but that's what it's doing.
It feels like 100% with this
Yeah.
cool air blowing in here.
So,
Feels good.
a lot of neat things you can do. Now, here's the important thing. We have some really nice manuals. They're very simple. You know, this happens to be one you can get right off our website.
Did you have a hand in this manual,
A
Phil?
little bit, yeah, slightly. But nice wiring diagrams, easy to understand how to wire this to what we call an actuator board, which actually mounts on here, makes
Right.
that wiring real simple. And all the setup information. This happens to have a new feature, which is remote sensor. In
That
other
is
words,
new,
we can put
yes.
a remote sensor in a zone. This can go in a manager's office or the equipment room somewhere.
So is that is the purpose to hide the thermostat, do temperature averaging, both, or
No, just to hide the
just
thermostat.
to hide the thermostat? Okay.
You may have a zone that has a traffic area that, you know, general public come through
Right.
and things like that. They want to have it controlled, but at the same time, they don't want people messing with the thermostat.
Gotcha.
So you put a remote sensor in, you get this out of the way.
Okay.
Hide it in the manager's office. But guys, here's the important thing: read the instructions. It's so important. And when we go into our setup, we can hold a little button down here, and the thermostat will trigger a setup screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it will, first thing that comes up, it says damper.
Okay.
Now, if you use up and down arrow keys, and you can have damper open, or you can select damper close. The important thing is, when you do that, you take control away from the thermostat. So many times, techs call in and say, we're overcooling the space. The damper isn't moving. It's not doing anything.
Right.
And first thing I say is go to the setup and see if only the word damper shows up.
Okay.
So they say, oh, okay, let me check. And the guy goes into setup.
There it is.
And he says, yeah, but what he says, oh, it says damper closed or it says damper open.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we tell them just simply get rid of that word and hit enter. Okay?
Okay.
Or go to the next feature. So if we hit setup again, we go to the minimum position.
This is 10% right now.
Right now, factory default is 10.
Okay.
That means that this will maintain 10% minimum position opening to provide some air infiltration into a zone. You can go 100% closed, but that's a neat feature. In other words, code requires ventilation air.
Right.
So even using a zoning system, we can get air infiltration. Next thing we do is we go maximum position. Now, we don't want to use a zone damper for a balancing damper, but there's some times where you can adjust the max position to reduce the amount of airflow into the zone.
Right.
When it rather than running 100% open. You can assign the unit number. Let's say it's RTU1 or something. You can assign the zone number. You have heating limit. The default's 76, so I can't push the thermostat above 76 degree set point.
So it's kind of like a miniature lockout.
It is, yeah. And then I have a cooling limit at 68, and these are fully adjustable. And then I have speed, and this is where guys don't understand. And when they're saying, well, the damper it's not modulating properly, and I said, well, let's go check the speed. And what we find out is someone made the assumption
was 100
that, well, it needs to work faster, so I'm going to speed the motor up to whatever, 150.
That's fast.
You didn't do anything other than totally mess the thermostat up with regards to the actual speed of that actuator. And I said it has nothing to do with making that actuator go faster or slower.
Kind of like when you ramp up the thermostat, it doesn't get colder quicker.
That's
it ramps
right.
down. That's
so
deal with that a lot.
Read, and then you understand. But more importantly, if you're using a 90-second actuator, that needs to say 90 on the speed. Now you may be using an existing damper system that's already in a job, and we're taking advantage of the actuators. And they may be faster or slower. Well, you can adjust this to match the speed of the actuator. Mm-hmm. And that's important because that's the only thing that determines what position the blade's in. Okay?
Very interesting. Okay.
And once you get all that setup stuff done, you just press enter.
What was that address for? Is there Modbus in there?
There is Modbus, and we use Modbus on our web comfort system with this Z20.
But that's a different setup, different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Remote communications type thing.
Gotcha.
But very, very simple thermostat. Extremely accurate. Does a great job controlling conditioned air into a zone. Whether you use it as a standalone or whether you use it with a Z20, a big commercial system.
Right.
Works great. Just remember that a little time reading these beautiful, simple instructions will save you a lot of time on the job.
Absolutely. And then it's such an easy install too. I mean, I know I hear it all the time. You can walk into almost any commercial building in the summer and the person at the front desk has got a sweater on or they're just getting too much cooling. And what's a simple, easy fix than just doing this Zone 1 right here with the one damper and the Z2000T thermostat?
We sell lots of Zone 1 systems. And Zone 1 meaning a standalone system. This is what it would represent.
Right.
24 volts to an actuator board mounted on an actuator. This controls the air coming into the space. And this thermostat on the wall, not controlling equipment, strictly preventing overheating or overcooling of that zone.
Yeah.
And you're right. The poor person there with a sweater on and a 12 kW heater under their desk.
Exactly. They're right next to the server room that
That's
needs
right.
cool all the time, and they're just getting dumped on over there. But no, that's a great application. I'm glad you cleared some of that up here. So obviously, if you have questions on the Z2000, if you're looking to get into commercial work, we can help you do that. You can talk to people like Phil Kimball. If you give us a call, Jackson Systems, we'd be more than happy to help. You can always call us, and we'll be there for you. But Phil, anything else on the Z2000?
I think that's it. Just remember, read the instructions, easy to install. Make sure you pull all the wires. You have to make sure that remote sensor, although it is wired to this little actuator board, also goes back to the thermostat terminals, because if it does not see duct temperature, it will not function. It will keep the damper closed. Period.
There you go.
And it won't work.
There you go.
So,
read your manuals.
Read the manual.
Awesome. Thank you for watching this episode of Field Engineering. This has been Phil Kimball. I'm JD Brake. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take
Have
care.
a good day.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to smack that like button below. And if you want notifications on brand new videos that are coming out tailored just for you, be sure to subscribe right here to the Jackson Systems YouTube channel. Now, if there's some videos you missed, you can always check it out right here. Go ahead and click. Subscribe. Other videos. Like. Do it.